Hello everybody, and welcome back to another ranking video. However, this is not ranking any Summer Wales video, no. We are ranking Steam and Steel, the newest, hottest Roblox train game out there. Today, we'll be ranking every single locomotive that is in-game. However, we will be excluding locomotives like the A-Class simply because they're no longer in-game, and ranking them wouldn't make much sense. So yeah, without further ado, let's get going. At the bottom of the list is the RSR Class A1. This tiny 040 is surprisingly powerful for a small tender engine, but that's where its pros end. This engine is horrible for the price, and here's why. The engine is the cheapest out of all the engines at only $6,134. Now, this would be a big issue, but it's a tender engine. A tender costs $5,142, meaning both engine and tender cost a total of $11,258, which is really costly, especially for a beginner. Especially in a map like Coal Valley, where it takes quite a while to make the money to afford the engine and tender. If the A1 was a tank engine, then it would be a much more affordable and perfect starting engine, but due to the tender requirement, this sends the engine right down to the bottom of this list. Next up on the list is the RSR Class A2. Unlike the previous Class A1, the Class A2 is a slightly better engine than the A1, but not by much. The A2 is very similar to the original A-Class, but lacking the coal bunkers on the side. The A2 class has better speed and better power output, however it is slightly more expensive than the A1 at $7,064, and still needs a tender to function. If you still have the original A-Class before they were removed, then I would suggest sticking to that OG A-Class. But if you really want an A-Class, then the A2 is probably your best choice over the A1, considering the differences in price and power. Coming up next is the RSR Class C. This engine is a starter engine which everyone gets when they first start a world, depending on which world save you're using. This engine is far superior to the A1 and A2 purely due to the fact it's a tank engine. Being a tank engine makes it vastly cheaper to buy compared to the previous two engines since you don't need a tender, thus making it much more affordable considering it's only $9,412. While this engine is less powerful compared to the A1 and A2, it's much faster than the A2, but does struggle on slopes with a load. The Class C is the perfect starting engine for both price and functionality. Here we have the mighty G-Class, which for a while was the most powerful engine in Steam and Steel. The RSR G-Class is quite the workhorse when it comes to hauling heavy trains over long distances. It may be a slow engine, but it can still pull quite a load when put to the task. While the G-Class was a fantastic engine when the game first released, newer, more powerful engines have been released which pretty much kicked the engine down quite a few notches. While the G-Class may no longer be king of the rails in Steam and Steel, it's still a really good engine nonetheless for beginner players. Just barely beating the G-Class is the RSR F-Class, a 222 tender locomotive similar to the C-Class but having a cab and lacking coal bunkers. This small engine, while lacking in power, makes up for it by being able to hit speeds of up to 41 miles per hour, making it quite the fast engine for its size and price. However, you still have to buy a tender for it, which can bring the price up somewhat. The reason why this engine is above the G-Class is purely on looks and speed performance. Overall, the F-Class is an elegant looking tender engine and will look perfect behind any passenger train. Up next is the humble RSR Class E tank engine. This 042 tank engine may look a bit odd from a glance and may seem a bit expensive, but this is a fantastic engine for those on a budget. Being a tank engine, this locomotive does not require a tender, making it quite a convenient engine for those who don't want to shell out for the tender. Its speed and power are great for the price. However, it is weaker than the G-Class, which is technically cheaper for the price, excluding the tender, but overall the E-Class is a perfect little mainline runner for those who want a speedy, low-cost engine. Slowly chuffing into spot 4 is the 060 inverted saddle tank, the RSR N-Class. While at first glance it may look a bit off-putting, don't be deceived by its odd-looking shape. The N-Class is a powerhouse for its price, coming in at $19,602. This thing is the perfect yard switcher and short line runner you'll need for your growing railway. It has a power output of 25,048, which is really good for such a small engine. It is, however, let down by its slow speed of 19 miles per hour, which can be limiting for those players who want to go fast. Overall, the N-Class is the perfect engine for those short runs between industries and shunted at the bigger yards for a low price. A very recent introduction to the Steam and Steel roster is the RSR J1 class. The J1 class is the newest engine in game and one of the weirdest looking ones, being an 044T, a very strange wheel configuration. Despite its weird shape, it's still a very good engine considering everything. This engine is quite versatile, being able to hit speeds of 38 miles per hour and having a power output of 37,270. It can work long trains with speed, however this engine just feels a bit wrong when you look at it the wrong angle. The 044 wheel arrangement just feels so off to me, and the firebox clips into the bogie sometimes. Overall, it's a pretty good engine, but I feel like if it were a tank engine, it'd be a bit more appealing than a tender engine. Now this is probably a shock to all of you, but I decided to put the B class into spot number 3. The RSR B class is the fastest engine in game, being able to hit an impressive top speed of 56 miles per hour. This speed demon is perfect for those long haul trips where time is of the essence. Now you may be wondering why I didn't put it higher. Well, the issue I have with it is its speed. From my time with this engine, and by time with this engine I mean getting crashed into it by the lead, this engine's brakes are pretty abysmal for its speed. I cannot count the number of times the lead has crashed into me because we were on the same line and the brakes are non-existent. The speed is also pretty bad on curves, since the large wheelbase can cause it to tip over and derail pretty badly. If you have a nice big long railway of broad curves, then the B class is the perfect engine for you, but if your railway isn't up to standard, then just remember to take it slow on those curves. Slowly steaming into spot 2 is the most powerful engine in Steam and Steel, the RSR Class H. This 080 side tank engine is the most powerful engine in game with an incredible power output of 44,478 horsepower. While its top speed is only 19 miles per hour, similar to the G and N class, this engine absolutely destroys both when it comes to its power output alone. Being so slow, it can often feel like it's underperforming with a long haul of wagons, especially on hills, but this engine will pull through for you in the end. It does, however, tend to eat up a lot of coal, which can be frustrating on long haul trips where you feel like you're shoveling more coal than you have. Overall, while the H-Class is an engine worthy of spot number 1, there is an engine which is superior to it in every way possible. An honorable mention is surprisingly not a locomotive, but a self-propelled rail car of sorts. The white van concept is a strange physics bug whereby standing between two coupled 12-ton vans and walking backwards on one side, you can gain incredible speed with barely any work. The top speed is practically infinite, assuming you have a line that can handle the speeds of these things. The pulling power, however, is, well, it's like one wagon. So if you want a cheap, speedy train, which can get you around the line with barely any cargo space, then this van is the perfect thing for you. Of course, on laggy server, this isn't a great option because you'll barely get any speed and it will just crash a lot. At spot number 1 is the really splendid engine with the shiny paint and the jet black stack. That's right, at number 1 is the J2 class. The RSR J2 class is by far the best engine in game, and here's why. Despite it being less powerful in the H class, along with being slower than the F and B class, this engine makes up for those shortfalls with its price and efficiency. This mogul can pull a long train for a great distance and barely lose speed. The J2 also has a pivoting pilot truck, making it the first engine in game to have functional front bogies. The price is also really good for the engine of its stats, coming in at only $2,774. This engine is both practical and affordable, making it a perfect mixed traffic engine for your railway. The RSR J2 is by far the best engine in game. It is my personal favorite engine in all of Steam and Steel. Well, thank you all for watching this ranking video. I genuinely didn't expect these rankings to come out the way they did. If you feel like the rankings were incorrect or you have your own opinion on which engine is the best, then please tell me in the comments below. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next Steam and Steel video.